Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson,
And I'm Tom Hobley.
and we got a lot to unpack from this weekend. NASCAR just got done with the Roval. They're going to be going into Vegas this weekend, but let's kick off with our diecast of the week. Tom, what'd you bring for us today, buddy?
All right, this is the last of my little thrifting escapade that I did about a month ago. It's a really cool one. It is a Mike Skinner die cast, but it's a
Ooh,
Good Wrench 3 truck. So just
oh,
the
that is
old, like from
awesome.
the early truck series days. So yeah, solid little piece that I found there. Couldn't pass up on that one either.
Absolutely. That's a gem right there, buddy.
hmm I like it a lot.
Well, you went old school. I'm going new school. The newest diecast in my collection just came a few weeks ago. Noah Gregson's Black Rifle Coffee Ranger Boats car. Obviously, just beautiful that they brought back the Bass Pro scheme from his junior motorsports days, and just happy to have a Noah 10 diecast. Will be the only
Excellent.
year I
Yep,
can have him.
that one's about to be a vintage itself. So
Yeah, for real. All right, so let's get into our top stories from this weekend. Alex Bowman was
oh,
disqualified. They said his car was too light, 17 pounds lighter, I believe they said it
at
was.
least,
Yeah,
at
at
least.
least, because that's what will trigger it. And so he is out of the playoffs, and lo and behold, Joseph Logano sneaks his way in. This just smells like a Joey Logano championship year now, bud.
Oh my goodness. If Joey Logano wins the championship this year, everybody can shut up about 2015. And then as far as Alex Bowman goes, this is really heartbreaking. Uh Going all the way back to his back injury that knocked him out of the playoffs a couple of years ago. He was struggling. Um Rumors this season about getting kicked out of his ride, and you'd think that would be a distraction going into the playoffs. And he's like, guys, Mr. Hendrick says I still have a ride, and Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick all say he's still got a ride. And then he comes out and he starts just going off in the playoffs, looking like the old school like early season Alex Bowman. And for something like this to pull him out, it's just really tough, man. Like that, he's a good guy. I understand why people kind of rip on him and whatnot because he's the worst of the Hendrick drivers, but he's still a freaking Hendrick driver and whatnot. And he was putting on a show for us in the playoffs, and this is just such a shame. As for Joey Logano, it's like, I mean, yeah, he always shows up in the playoffs, sure, but he has not had the season. He has not had the season. The
No.
With Bowman in, it was the literally the eight best point scoring cars, and then now it's seven best and Joey Logano. So this kind of tough. I hope the drama ends with this round and Joey just doesn't have it. I mean, Joey hasn't had it on intermediates all year, so we got a couple of them coming up in this round. So only time will tell. Just your heart breaks for Bowman.
Yeah, it really blows for him. He worked his ass off all year, and like you said, Joey Logano had such a probably one of the worst seasons of his career. Honestly, he was able to get that
Yeah.
one win at Nashville because he survived five overtime finishes.
hmm
And that's how Joey gets a lot of his wins is just from some crazy overtimes. So,
Right.
maybe we'll see something in Vegas this weekend. He'll sneak his way into the round of four again. It's
Oh
it's
my
only a matter of
goodness.
time.
I wouldn't be able to handle that, frankly. Just not great. But again, that's the nature of our point system. And
Hmm.
you just hate to see something like this decided off the track. And with Hendrick not appealing this, obviously there's nothing they could do. They knew there was a weight issue. Who knows what happened between Saturday and Sunday? They pulled out some too much ballast or something after practice. I don't for a second think that anything significant flew off the car when Bowman launched through the infield.
No,
Personally,
17 pounds worth? No way.
uh, but again, he's allowed to be 17 pounds. So maybe he was only a pound. He was only 16 pounds underweight and he lost a pound of something, but I don't know. Um, why even cut it close though?
Hmm.
And Bowman was solid in points, and I mean he wasn't even the Hendrick driver people were worried about. People were worried about Chase, I think. So about getting out, but him and Chase both have just quiet, consistent years, and that's not what you want to see.
Yeah, pretty much everyone at Hendrick besides Larson. I mean, William Byron he had a really good start, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
been kind of slow since the summer started, really. Ever since his Martinsville win, he just hasn't been there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But I mean, they're just quietly consistent, the other three guys. And Byron showed back up these playoffs, and now he's sitting fourth in points.
Yeah, so
So
we shall see how this round will go for them. Moving on, we know Hailie Deegan was kicked out of the 15 a.m. racing Xfinity Series car earlier this year before Chicago. Well, now she's got a new ride. Apparently, she is going to be going to the IndyCar NXT Series starting next season. Um, did not have that on my bingo card for this year, Tom.
no, but I don't hate the move either. It's like you kind of saw her stalling out in the Xfinity series and in the truck series, and she I guess tested an F3 car a little bit ago, and she liked it and she wanted to explore it, and she found somebody to back her up and put her in a seat, and we'll see if she can maybe pick up open wheel racing. We know it's not easy. The 7-time NASCAR champion tried to go over there. There's a bit of an age difference when those two did it, but we'll see if she can pick it up, and maybe it'll fit her style more.
Yeah, we'll see. Hope she doesn't wreck the car as much as she did in NASCAR. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, again, that's up to her.
Yep.
But somebody has faith in her, so why not? We got to give her a chance. We can't write her off until she gives it a go.
Yeah, very true. All right, and our last bit of news, scandal in the garage area. We got a Joe Gibbs Racing engineer who is actually exploring other options next season, stole intellectual property from the Joe Gibbs Racing team, and then sold it to another team. I'm guessing the team that he's talking to, he's eyeballing. No one's been named in the case, only that Joe Gibbs Racing. We don't know who the other team is, but this is pretty huge.
Yeah, this one's a head scratcher too. Um, but if all these cars are so close and you think you got an edge, you think you give somebody a team and it just gives somebody some info and it's going to give you a job. I don't know. I don't know. It seems interesting. I guess you can't have another job after the one you're going to because nobody else is going to want to work with you, or nobody else is going to want to hire you if you're selling stuff. So,
Right.
bit of a head scratcher here because also just in my mind when I heard this story, it's like, well, he's probably not selling to Ford or Chevy teams because how would a Toyota setup and whatnot help them? And so that leaves 2311 and Legacy. Well, he's not selling to Legacy, or excuse me, he's not selling to 2311 because they're a satellite Joe Gibbs team. They get all the info anyway. So
Right.
in my brain, that leaves Legacy, who is a Toyota partner team, but doesn't have an alliance with Joe Gibbs. So maybe he's helping them understand some Toyota partner information, but everybody's saying that this is going to RCR, and that's why RCR found speed after the break. I find that hard to believe. Um,
It just doesn't make sense. Why would I don't know though, but
right, right. You don't know,
who
but
knows?
but but like I see where people are going, but the dots don't quite connect for me because before the Olympic break, RCR also made some changes with their personnel up higher end competition with Andy Petrie leaving and whatnot. And who's to say that those changes didn't just work and they found something in the break? They worked hard during that break and found some extra speed, found something different in the setups that they could try. That feels much more likely than some Toyota information getting into this Chevy team's camp and getting them some more info. So, um, but I guess time will tell. Maybe, I don't know. Until anybody files an official complaint, it sounds like NASCAR's not even going to do anything about this yet. But everybody in the garage knows about it. NASCAR knows, the teams know it, the media knows it, now the fans know it. So maybe this will come out to nothing. Maybe it'll get settled quietly under the table. Who knows?
Yeah, we will have to see, but man, I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. We're seeing a lot of new ones this year, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, well, but then again, like, how often does this happen? Because I remember it might have been Andy Petrie on the Dale Jr. download, or maybe it was Ray Evernham talking, and he said, yeah, and that whole time that Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt were going at it, like rivalry wise, he said they were calling each other after the races and sharing stuff with each other. Those
Hmm.
two rival teams. So how often does this happen and we just don't know about it? Um, I feel like it's harder to keep quiet in this day and age than it was back in the late mid to late 90s or earlier. But I mean, drivers help each other out all the time, and they're not necessarily, I don't know, they're not necessarily trying to hide information from each other. Like there's all these stories about old drivers telling young drivers how to get around Darlington and whatnot, and that goes on for years and years and years as the torch passed down. So this one's getting attention because it may have been done a little bit nefariously, but this I it could be rare, it could be run of the mill, and somebody just did it the wrong way.
Yeah, we like you said, we don't know much about any of this, but maybe we'll see what comes out. Maybe we won't. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's the biggest story in NASCAR. Who knows? All right, well, let's get into our Roval weekend from this past weekend. The Xfinity Series kicked us off. Sam Mayer was able to win this race, lock himself into the round of eight. We know this guy is one hell of a road course racer. Got it done.
I mean, for sure, for sure. And we were stating at the preview episode last week that a lot of these guys below the cut line were going to be able to have a chance to come win this race and vault themselves in at the last second, slide under the door, Indiana Jones style. So, um, he was the one that was able to pull it off, and it was a very intriguing race.
Yeah, it was. And it started off real interesting for Sam Mayer because he got a penalty to start off for jumping the start finish line. So he had to make a stop. AJ Allmendinger won stage one. We know that it has been a struggle of a season for him, so he needed pretty much anything he could for these playoffs.
For sure, for sure. But he's still quietly, consistently eating up points and whatnot, and that's why he's in these situations. Yeah, he's lower on the points, but he's still in it and he's still able to fight.
Absolutely. Then we had a big pile up with seven to go in stage two. We had Sheldon Creed, Riley Herbst, Josh Williams, and others involved in this one. There was a few ARCA breaks involved in
Mm,
here as well, but my goodness, you don't really see wrecks like this on the road courses.
no, no, and this obviously had big playoff implications with Herbst and Creed getting involved in this, and those cars you just saw them visually were toast,
Hmm.
and it kind of set the scene for some drama.
Yeah, it really did. Justin Allgaier won stage two. And SVG, man, I don't know why this team did not go in and pit because he just got his ass ran over by everybody after those pit stops there.
Yeah, but it was ultimately SVG's call, and it's a learning moment and whatnot. And you got to remember, he's still a rookie. He thinks if he's out in front, he can hold off the field, even if he's on old tires, and he thinks he can do it. He'd rather have the track position than the tires. And it was just the wrong call. Too many people behind him pitted. If a lot more people thought like that, maybe he has a bit of a buffer, a bit of a chance. But as soon as he doesn't go in, you also, from the other team's perspective, why don't you go in? You're like, well, that guy's not getting new tires, so now the playing field's a little bit more even. I mean, kudos to him. He hung on to it.
Yeah, still
Still
had a great
finished
finish.
still finished third, but unfortunately wasn't enough for him to move on into the next round.
Yep, that is for sure.
But
But it was
I will say a round of 12 exit, or however many they got here for the Xfinity series in your rookie year. when you haven't really run too many ovals in your entire life. That's a solid season. This is exactly what Shane came here to do, and he got the experience, and he'll be ready to run Cup next year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Making progress every single week on these oval tracks as well. Getting another opportunity in the Cup Series this weekend at Vegas, so it's gonna be huge.
For sure, for sure. And for these last four races, his pressure's off. He can just go back to learning, go back to taking it all in.
Yeah, exactly. And Parker Kligerman, man, he was able to pass Shane Van Gisbergen. We know SVG had those old tires. Kligerman pitted, and he was so close to victory. Um,
Oof.
Man, who was it that crashed into the wall there?
Is it
It was stuck in
Honeyman?
the tire barrier. Yeah, it was Leland Honeyman stuck in the tire barrier. And then for some reason, NASCAR decided to wait like 30 seconds, literally right as Parker Kligerman is
I
crossing the
mean,
start finish line.
they were before the final chicane
Yeah,
when TV cut to that camera. I understand that there's a process up in the booth, but and I mean, this it's just unfortunate how it all went down. The optics of it, it's way more complicated than all the fans are making it. But that screenshot where he's less than 20 feet from the line and that light illuminates for the first time. Oh, you just hate it for Parker and whatnot. Um, and it was a real tough call. Again, I just don't understand how if they're coming around NASCAR 3 and 4 and TV cuts to the camera of a car buried deep in the tires, how that's not an immediate I'm pretty sure I said that's a caution. I was like, oh, okay, they're going to let this run until the white flag. Give this one to Parker, I guess. That's also a little suspect. But just for the way that it all turned out, obviously it's a caution. You can't just leave that guy there with cars coming full speed around.
yeah.
You just you wish NASCAR didn't have to make decisions like that.
It
And I'm sure they're going to look back over their procedures once again.
yeah, it was just it felt like Indy kind of, except they had to re-rack them again. It's just
Hmm.
why are we waiting so long to call these cautions? Everyone at home is seeing this. Everyone at the track is seeing this. But for some reason,
Yeah,
the guys and girls up in the tower are just blind to the fact. I don't know.
right.
Were they thinking that he was able to reverse out of there? Or I don't know what the thinking process was in this one, but
From what Jeff
good
Gluck says,
God.
there's a chain of command where somebody sees it and then they have to tell them and then they have to establish that maybe we should push the button and they push the button. Maybe if the guy with his hand over the button sees it himself, he pushes it right away. But if they go through this chain of command, it's just we've seen much quicker caution calls for a lot less. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the most frustrating part about it. If they don't get to the final chicane, then I don't think but like they throw the caution before they're entering that chicane on the front stretch, then it's a different story. But the
Yeah.
fact he was so close to the line and everybody at home thought he took the white flag. I mean, the media is tweeting out, they're like, Parker Kligerman wins the race and he's got to go back and do it again. Um, but also Parker Kligerman, when he gets out of the car after the final two laps are run, he doesn't slam his helmet. He doesn't curse out NASCAR. He doesn't do. He's a consummate professional and just a stand-up sportsman. And man, he's somebody I'd wish I'd have on my team.
Yeah.
If he's got the qualities of a racer, and he's got the qualities of a fair and honest and just human. And honestly, that was as incredible as his drive to the front at the end when he gets out of the car, when it feels like the world has shamed him and everything's working against him. And he gets out of the car and he's just grateful to be able to be there and have the opportunity to win that race, even if it doesn't pull out for him. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's just a real shame that this is going to be his last full-time season of racing, at least for now. We don't know, but going back to the chain of command for the tower, I don't understand why we need to play like, a game of telephone,
Hmm.
to call this caution because it's just getting ridiculous. We just need to have a group of guys be like, oh, that's not good. we should probably do something about
You know,
that.
give
And then
everybody a button.
no, not,
Anybody in that
maybe
tower can call
do
a
it, do a
caution.
vote button, and then we'll do the vote, and we'll split it. We'll see how
Oh
many
my
vote for yes
goodness.
caution, no caution. How about that? That sounds better than what the fuck just happened on Saturday.
That still sounds like a chain of command, and then you got a lot more arguing going on in that booth.
Simple push, no arguing, just push. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so congrats to Sam Mayer on winning the Xfinity Series race, able to advance into the round of eight. So, Tom, let's take a look at our round of eight drivers for the Xfinity Series. Um, Let me pull this up. So we got Justin Allgaier leading the way, Cole Custer, Austin Hill, and then Chandler Smith, who is above the cut line at 8 points. Sam Mayer, fifth, -8. Jesse Love is down 12 points. AJ Allmendinger is down 18, and Sammy Smith 19. So we got a close battle here with all these drivers. And it's gonna be kicking off in Vegas for this
Hmm.
round of eight.
One Ford, one Toyota. Everything else is Chevy. So
Yeah.
if you put your money on Chevy to win the Xfinity title at the beginning of the year, you're looking pretty damn good right now.
Yep. It's
And
David versus Goliath right now.
if I'm looking at this, my final four is going to be Allgaier, Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, and then one of the others. Frankly, I don't care who else gets in there. It's going to be a slog between Austin Hill, but and and the rest of the group to get that final spot. But just Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer seem to be leagues ahead of the field as long as Justin Allgaier, I guess, can stay out of trouble. But it's kind of a crapshoot for that fourth spot, in my opinion. And I guess maybe Chandler Smith isn't even that safe.
Yeah, no, not safe at all, but with how Chandler Smith has been running in these playoffs, he is,
Hmm,
dude, he's just full steam ahead. He had that big
for
summer
sure.
slump and now he's just picked it up. So, definitely see him as a championship favorite. Austin Hill, I gotta agree with you. I don't really have a whole lot of faith in this guy making it into the championship four. He just that the whole RCR Xfinity Series team just has not been running good on
Right.
non-restrictor tracks, you know?
But I mean, we remember last year the big controversy at the end of the year was kind of when all this the RCR stuff kind of boiled over was when Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill got into it at the end of the Martinsville race, and they were both up front. So
Hmm.
who's to say that Austin Hill or Jesse Love can't win that race at the short track at Martinsville and get into the final four? So time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, very true, man. Gonna be a wild round of eight. Alrighty, so let's get into our Cup Series race from the Roval. Kyle Larson won, locked himself in. He was already locked in, but just wanted to get that win just for extra measure. But how about Shane Van Gisbergen, man? He was on the pole for the Xfinity Series race and the Cup Series race. That was actually the first time that the number 13 in the Cup Series was on the pole since 1967. So pretty cool to see SVG just sweeping the poles for the weekend, doing his
Oh, for
thing.
sure, for sure. And expect nothing less from that guy. He's going full out on a road course. He's got all the confidence in the world. And the fact that he's doing this in colleague race cars is equally impressive. Like, yeah, the colleague race cars bring or colleague brings good race cars to road courses, but how much of that is the talent that they have in there with Allmendinger and with SVG? Uh,
Right.
that's just incredible. So good for them.
Yeah. All right. Bowman, we kind of mentioned it earlier how his car kind of flew in the air after he ramped a turtle. That kind of sounded weird to say ramping a turtle. But yeah, regardless, he went in the air a little bit. We saw some shit fly out of the car, but kind of agreed that that wasn't enough to make the
I mean,
disqualification
maybe
happen.
maybe if he was 16 pounds under and that was 1 pound, or if he
Yeah,
was 16 and a half pounds under and they were just really pushing the limit on that. But I don't know. I don't know. Also, tungsten and lead weigh a lot. So a little bit of tungsten, a little bit of lead can go a long way.
right.
So it's not out of the question. I just think there's some funny business that happened Saturday night into Sunday. That feels more likely to me.
Yeah, totally agree. Speaking of the turtles, we have Bubba Wallace. He got caught cutting the corner in the front stretch chicane, but of course, a Hendrick Motorsports driver does literally the exact same thing behind him and does not get caught. Tom, when does the Hendrick Motorsports favoritism end? Oh, I guess it ended with the 48 getting DQ'd, but
Yeah, well,
still.
they kicked one out of the race. But
Yeah.
like it was just so funny. They're like, "Look, he's obviously in this area that he's not supposed to be in. So that's a penalty." And then they let the replay roll a little bit further and William Byron is granted a little bit closer to the racetrack, but it still looked exactly the same to
Yeah.
me and about 90% of the NASCAR community. So, uh yeah, that one was a little bit of a head scratcher, but we go onward, I
Yeah.
guess.
Oh well.
Bubba Bubba was able
He was
Bubba
having a
was
great
able to
race.
recover. He had a great I mean, he had a great race. Top
Yeah.
10. This guy used to loathe going to road courses.
Yeah, dude.
Finishes top
He
10.
hated it so much, and now he's excelling every
Mhm.
single time we go to a new road course. Just looking good out there. Alrighty, 2311 driver Tyler Reddick wins stage one right before he bulldozed into his team owner of Denny Hamlin. We were looking at that new turn last week that they
Mhm.
reconfigured. That turned six, right?
Turned 7.
Turn seven, going on to NASCAR one. Real tight, and we saw Tyler Reddick just
It created a lot of I guess that turns into a passing zone, but when you get spun and passed by the entire field, I don't know. Not a
yeah,
fan of that. That's not truly a passing zone if you ask me. Uh,
it was just too
Caused some
much.
issues. I'm I was thinking about this during the race, and as the race was winding down, we were wondering about Tyler Reddick getting all, or if he was going to be able to point his way in and whatnot. And I was thinking, I was like, well, good thing he won stage one, but then no, because if he doesn't win stage one, he comes off in pits. He's likely not back in the field for that to happen to him. So you wonder if that created some unnecessary drama. I think staying on the track, getting points for stage one is the right move. But then you have to remind your driver on that restart that he doesn't need to get it all back. It's stage two. Like there's still so much of the race left. Like stage three was 60 laps or something
Yeah, it was
crazy like that.
pretty long.
So like there was so much racing left. He just did not need to put himself in that position. Um, and frankly, the response from the team and the driver was incredible for them to fix that car to get it to be as competitive as it was. And then later in the race to put on tires late and drive through the field. Just fantastic drive.
Yeah, I think I saw they came in like 8 times or something to fix
Mm-hmm.
this car, and he was still able to just come back and still point his way into the
That
round of eight. That was just incredible.
because Chase Briscoe got damaged in that event as well, which caused him to rub a tire down,
Hmm.
which brought out a caution. And that caution, I believe, saved Tyler Reddick's race.
Yeah,
And Denny Hamlin got damaged in that car. He said that thing was bent and they didn't fix it. He said Gabe Hart just made adjustments on the car to kind of get it realigned a little bit. And so Denny was kind of struggling at the end, um, which was another interesting part of all of stage three. So a lot of bad news for some playoff drivers there in that one corner.
yeah. Um, Treacherous ass turn there, but that's the Roval. It was literally made just for pure chaos.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to stay because this race met the eye test
It met the eye
until it
test,
didn't.
but
Until it didn't. If you saw through the smoke and mirrors,
it was
it wasn't a great race in my
no,
opinion.
no.
Um,
Out of all the Roval races, that probably had to be the worst one, to be honest.
it was a compelling race, but then 2 hours afterwards, you disqualify one of the guys, and then suddenly all the storylines from the race don't matter anymore.
Yeah,
So when you go back from that, that's I voted no on the Gluck poll this week, simply because once Bowman got disqualified, nothing mattered. Nothing mattered. I mean,
yeah.
you lost Briscoe in the middle of the race, so he was going to be out, and then who else? Suarez was never showing up, and his car was hurting after he jumped the turtles in the backstretch coming to
Hmm.
the end of stage two, so he was out. And then who's the last one? I don't even know, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was
It was
Bowman and
just
yeah,
the
it's
only
just
reason I had my eyes on the TV was because there was a big playoff race going on. That was the only exciting thing was the whole playoff
yeah,
picture. And now, like you said, it doesn't even matter anymore.
and the 45 versus the 22 was so interesting. And you think about and it was going to be interesting. You think about Tyler Reddick getting that extra 5 points from finishing first in the regular season instead of second. And that's because Kyle Larson didn't run the Coke 600. But Joey Logano would have had an extra 5 points had he actually won Richmond if Austin Dillon doesn't clean him out. So it was very compelling points battle. And then Austin or the 45 team saying, "Come down, get tires. We're going to put the ball in your hands. Yeah, we're going to put you all the way back on the 5 yard line, but you gotta go. You got to go get in the field goal range." And he sure damn did, and got in by 4 points. All of it for it to not matter. So it
Sucked.
right. It was like, yeah, this is so cool. And then you take a step back and you're like, oh no, it wasn't that. It really wasn't that cool.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like once the leader got out there, you said goodbye. You could not see him anymore, man.
Well,
It's
that's Kyle Larson and the five
that's
team doing what they do. I mean, frankly, if they're not the championship favorites this time, then I don't know who's making the odds.
yeah,
But
for sure the championship favorite.
I mean, we did see Larson have issues in the round of 8 last year, put him kind of in a bad spot. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible, I guess, because we know
Who
Larson will
knows?
push hard
Yeah,
to
for real.
to maybe sometimes harder than he needs to, um, and that could cause some issues.
Yep, but sometimes that wins him races.
Oh, of course.
All right, so Alex Bowman won stage two, but of course he got DQ'd, so that
Hmm.
was taken away. So Allmendinger was technically the winner of stage two. And then our boy Shane Van Gisbergen, he got Hosevard. It happens to the best of us.
Hmm.
And SVG, you got Hosevard, buddy. He did it to Brad earlier in the race. And he's gonna do it again some other time. Just look out.
And then Shane still runs his way back up to 7th.
Yeah, dude,
Animal,
he's an
animal,
alien.
animal for sure.
Yeah, insane. All right, so congrats to Kyle Larson. Let's look at our
I
round.
did before we move on. I did love the point where they're focusing on the 22 and the 45 the whole time, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Kyle Larson's still out at like a 3 second lead.
Yeah,
He's leading the race." It's like they completely forgot about the lead. It was like watching an F1 race. If you didn't know what watching an F1 race is like, it's like this, except you don't have people running into each other at a weird hairpin turn.
right.
So, um, I guess there's that.
All right, so let's look into our playoff standings. Kyle Larson top in the charts, plus 33. Christopher Bell in second. Tyler Reddick in third. William Byron in fourth, plus 4 points. And Ryan Blaney's below the cut line. Denny Hamlin -8. Chase Elliott -9. And Joey Logano -11. So another close battle here at the line, and we're going to kick it all off at Vegas, and we know that is a Hendrick favorite track. All right, Tom. Well, it looks like a really stacked playoff round. Everybody here belongs except Joey Logano. Um,
But I mean, even Joey Logano at -11, he's by all means not out of it. We know how
no,
Penske likes to perform in the playoffs. So you could, you could, it might be harder for some than others, but you could make a case as to why all 8 of these drivers belong in not only the 4, but could potentially win the championship. Now, do I think Joey Logano is going to show up in Phoenix and be super competitive if he's in the championship 4? Probably not. But he was in position to win at Richmond, and he's been driving up front recently. So why couldn't he do such a thing? Um, and
he's
again,
won
Chase
the
Elliott,
championship there at Phoenix before.
exactly. Chase Elliott, quietly consistent all year. He's probably got one of the best average finishes in the whole field. Um, Denny is ready to get back to his bread and butter, which is Vegas, uh, Martinsville, Homestead, and then Phoenix.
Yeah, this is a great round for Denny. Holy shit.
Denny was just kind of hanging on for dear life, and he feels rejuvenated, I bet. Come back in here. Blaney wasn't doing anything last season during the play. I mean, just go through all of them. Blaney wasn't doing much during the whole regular season last year. He won the All-Star race and then won the championship.
He won
So,
Talladega and then he won Martinsville. Like, it came to life in the second
exactly.
half of the season.
Exactly. And then the top four. I mean, I still think Kyle Larson's the favorite just because he was winning all season and everywhere he goes. But who knows what happens to get to how do you even cut this down to the final four?
Right. I'm just worried about Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin because this year Joe Gibbs Racing parts have just been failing. Engine issues. We saw the brake rotors last year with Christopher Bell at Phoenix. It just has not been good. Ty Gibbs, he had a mechanical issue on Sunday. He had to go back behind the wall. It just has not been good. These parts have not been lasting well on these Joe Gibbs racing cars, and it's crunch time now. They got to make it work.
And 45 cars also out of that Toyota camp, and it's been mediocre as soon as the regular season ended. So, yeah, you wonder how consistent these Toyotas can be. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, guys, well, you got anything else to add?
I think Austin Cindric made an excellent run. He gave it a valiant effort. That's the fourth guy I was missing earlier. He gave a valiant effort, but he had to win, and it just wasn't going to happen with that 5 car out there turning laps and whatnot. So shout out to Austin Cindric. A lot of people thought he didn't belong, thought he kind of fluked his way into the Gateway win, which is why he was in the playoffs in the first place. But solid run to the round of 12. When a lot of people thought he was a first round exit. So we'll shout out the Penske cars and the Fords. I mean, remember how Ford started this year? They didn't win until halfway through. So you don't expect to be there, but you do expect Penske to show up when it matters most. And they sure tried, and they got 2 of the 3 through, which is very impressive.
Very, very impressive. So yeah, we'll see. But Austin Cindric, he had a great round of 16. Daniel Suarez, it was just good to see those drivers coming up and showing that they can contend in these playoffs.
Oh yeah,
and they can get better.
For sure. But again, and then you take a step back and you look who's left. You got 300 cars. You have 2 Gibbs car and a Gibb satellite car. And then you have 2 Penske cars. So the cream really does rise to the top. And you just wonder how long it's going to stay like this, or if some other team can show up and knock them out.
Yeah. Who can knock off this this food chain here? You know? I really think Front Row Motorsports is going to be that next Ford team.
I think you're exactly right. I was going to say that. I think Front Row Motorsports is the next big team on the scene. They're going to make a serious run over the next few years.
Yeah, especially with the lineup that they potentially have for next year. We know Noah's going to be going in there. Todd's already staying with them, and possibly Zane Smith will be coming back home to Front Row Motorsports.
Come back.
Yes.
Which, I mean, frankly, Front Row got a hell of a deal if that turns out the way it did.
Oh, yeah, dude.
We had too many drivers to fill our seats. We're going to have to let you go. Sorry. And then just like, oh, we have seats open again. And Trackhouse now has too many drivers for not enough seats. You want to come back, buddy? Like, yeah. Why not? It's a perfect situation. They got somebody else to develop their driver for a year.
Yeah, right? Like, not bad. You don't have to pay the guy at all.
Yeah, you don't have to pay him anything. Let somebody else do it and then find a way to bring him back. So
yeah, so
solid
they'll definitely want to win another championship together. That's for sure. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be making our picks for Las Vegas this weekend, so stay tuned. guys? Welcome back. We are here to make our picks for Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend to kick off the round of 8 for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Tom, it's going to be one hell of a weekend. Vegas has always put on one hell of a show, especially here in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I mean they're laying it all on the line. The best have risen to the top here. Maybe not in Xfinity, but definitely in Cup. I mean, again, like we were saying earlier, you can make an argument for all these guys to go out and win, and we know these guys are gonna have saved everything they had for this round. Because remember, if you're in this round of 8 and you win this track, you have 2 weeks free to prep for Phoenix. Doesn't matter what you do. If you win this race, you can bring your car to Phoenix and have the most time to prep it.
Yep. This racetrack is the golden ticket this weekend to the championship. So we'll see who grabs it. Let's make our picks, Tom. So we're gonna kick off with the Xfinity Series for the Ambetter Health 302, 302 miles, 201 laps. Stages 1 and 2 are 45 laps each, and the final is 111. Riley Herbst won last year for his first career win, and John Hunter Nemechek won in the spring. Some notables, we got Daniel Dye in the 10 for Colleague, Taylor Grays in the 19 for Joe Gibbs, Almirola finishing off the year with Joe Gibbs Racing in the 20, and Corey Heim will be in the 26 for Sam Hunt Racing. Nick is not on the show, but he still sent me his picks. He is going for Eric Almirola. I am gonna go with Mr. Cole Custer. We saw Stewart Haas Racing win last year with Riley Herbst getting his first win. Cole's one of the better drivers this year, and we know that he can drive the hell out of the mile-and-a-half tracks. So definitely can see him punching his ticket to Phoenix this weekend.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think both your picks are solid picks. Almirola just out on his swan song, doing what he wants, and he's still got talent in the bones. And Cole Custer, again, he wants to punch that ticket to Phoenix and give his team the most time to prepare. So solid picks on both of you. I'm gonna go with a little bit out on a limb here. I'm kind of regaling my my perfect prediction from last week. So I got a cushion to guess a little bit here. And I think with the pressure of being knocked out, it would be only proper for the 18 car to find victory lane finally. And Sheldon Creed can get it done at Vegas. He likes the mile and a halfs. Again, he finished second just about anywhere you can drive. So one of these days he's got to find his way into the victory lane. And I think this could be a good week. Pressure's off. Just go out there and race.
Yeah, definitely. If there was a time to win, I mean, it's now. Um,
I mean, it was
yeah,
last week, but
yeah, it was last week, but yeah, no pressure now. You can at least go out on a good high note before he leaves. Joe Gibbs Racing
right.
goes to
And that's
Haas Factory.
kind of what we saw with Riley Earps last year. Um, he didn't have any pressure, and he finally came out and kind of broke his ceiling into the Xfinity Series at Vegas.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's talk the Cup Series, the South Point 400 mile race, 267 laps. Stage 1 is 80 laps, Stage 2 is 85, and the final is 102. Larson won last year, and Larson won in the spring. So obviously, I got to go with Kyle Larson.
Oh wow, no, really
Shocker.
amazing. Well, that's an excellent pick for
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
I
And
mean,
Nick is going with Denny Hamlin, the other ace in Las
mm-hmm,
Vegas.
mm-hmm. The only one stopping Larson right now is Larson. So, and you hope he doesn't get in over his head somehow and and lose it and wreck his car or whatnot. But we have seen that. Hell, we saw it at Kansas.
Yeah,
Got a tire and then the car just wasn't the same afterwards. So who knows what he's going to find out in the desert sands? But I think solid pick. And again, another kudos to Nick with the Denny Hamlin pick. But because again, we said Denny said he goes, I'm back to circle track racing. This is what I do. This is what I'm best at, and I'm here to go out there. I feel like Denny's setting himself up for a championship just on the case that every time he's actually looked like he's going to go win the championship, it's all fallen apart. This year, it's not been great. I mean, it's not been bad, but like he's been kind of limping his way through the playoffs. So if he can figure out now, why not? Just keep pushing on. Nothing
Yeah.
in Denny's career will make sense. Um, but I feel like that's a solid pick. I am going to go with another Hendrick car who has won at Vegas. And he's kind of been building back up his momentum of late. He's had a solid playoff run, fourth in points, William Byron. Seems like a Chevy kind of day, but
Yeah.
we do see the Fords come out here and run well. And you got two of them in the playoffs here, Blaney and Logano. God, if Logano wins this race, I think the NASCAR fans will explode.
Oh,
Um,
I'll go
shouldn't
strangle
even
Jeff Gordon for fucking
shouldn't
up
even
Bowman's
be
car.
here. Could you imagine if Bowman wins? Oh, oh my goodness. Goodness. No, but I gotta go with
Oh,
William Byron. I think the second strongest Hendrick car for sure. Um, and if Kyle Larson has an issue, William Byron could be there to clean up the mess.
yep. Or make more of the mess. Who knows?
Well, who knows? But it'll be a fun weekend. No hairpin turns to cause chaos. Just
Bank.
regular old mile and a half, multi-lane racetrack. All the arrow blocking your heart could ever want.
Yep. Next gen cars. Pretty
Oh,
fun to
and
watch here at these
speaking of that,
tracks.
don't count out Christopher Bell. I mean, he was chasing down Larson by the end of the last race, and he had a long run car. But
Yeah.
again, the arrow blocking got the best of him. So
Yeah, we'll see if he can prevail this weekend and go to victory lane. And I just hope Christopher Bell he's clean throughout these races. He makes it to the round of 4. Just
mm-mm.
no mechanical issues. I just want to see this guy just finish the season cleanly, whether it's winning the championship or not.
Yeah, you really do want him to have a fair shot at it and whatnot. And I really do think he's capable of being a Cup Series champion, especially in this
Yeah.
format. And when he showed it to us last year when he clutched it up and won both the Roval and Martinsville. Or I guess it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Maybe it was last year.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it
that
was
was
last
2
year.
years.
It was 2 years, whatever. But we've seen him do it. He belongs there. He's always overlooked. He's always overlooked as a driver. And I don't know if that's maybe because he's a quiet little man and meek, but he's just there to get his job done. He loves to race and whatnot. And you hate to see a guy who loves to race get taken out by non-racing things. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
mechanicals are racing issues, but you want him to be in control of his destiny, not a bad brake rotor or a bad engine valve.
Yeah. That would suck, especially he's one of the most humble guys I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in the garage area. Doesn't make a lot of noise. He never pisses anybody off. I don't
Oh,
think I've ever really heard anyone speak any ill will of
yeah.
Christopher Bell.
Nobody's getting out of their car and be like, I can't believe what Christopher Bell did to me out there. It's like, oh, no,
No,
it's just
he races
great.
clean with respect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One hell of a driver, man. I really
For
hope that
sure.
he wins a he'll win multiple championships. He's just got to have a
I
good
forget.
car.
It's been so long, but I'm pretty sure I picked him this year to do it. So
Yeah, you can look
um,
back.
I'd
Look back
I'd
at the
like to
tape.
I'd like to see him do it.
That would be awesome. But all right, well, I think that will wrap up everything for us here at the Stock Car Spectacle, you guys. It's going to be one hell of a weekend in Vegas to kick off the round of 8. Make sure you guys comment down below who's your pick to win the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series race. Make sure to like our video and subscribe to our channel and check out all of our links down below. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson.
And I'm Tom Hoblin.
And we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the weekend.